Hello, good morning, fellow educators. Today, I would like to present the executive summary for a College Board report called Child Development and Arts Education, a review of recent research and best practices. In this report that was prepared by 26 experts that made recommendations for education, we have tables which will show what should happen at each stage of education. So we have early childhood, we have elementary, we have middle school, and we have high school and college, and we have them across the four disciplines you'll see here, which are dance, music, theater, and visual arts. So what we do is we find out what the developmental milestone is from recent research, and then the recommenders have said how to break that down for each of the disciplines. So for example, in music in high school, we say in addition to traditional large school choirs, introduce smaller and more various ensembles. In small ensembles, students learn from one another, play more by ear, and give one another feedback. So you get very specific uh, benchmarks, and it doesn't tell you what to teach or the exact content, but it tells you what is developmentally appropriate. So the 10 items I'd like to point to here are: the report is structured by grade levels in the three areas of development, which are physical, cognitive, and social emotional development. So for the preschooler, you're going to see that they don't have large muscle they have large muscle coordination, but they don't have small coordination. So the recommendations are all about how to avoid prompting the need for small muscle in all those arts. And so that changes later on, and then the recommendations change accordingly. Patterns across ages. As I said, one pattern that's noticed is progressions emphasize developing one's own voice, growing sophistication, and mastering technical aspects of the craft as you go forward. And what we notice as a commonality, as a difference, is that music focuses more on the technique than do theater or visual arts or dance, which have more social developmental opportunities for the students. Commonalities we see are structure and experimentation need to be balanced with each other, and that teachers can take cues from other art forms because a lot of the recommendations flow readily between art forms in any given grade level. So that would mean your dance teacher could go over to your visual arts teacher and say, what are the recommendations in yours? Oh, let's look at those. Let's look at what you're doing and find some similar resonances there. We find that in the report, the staggered age levels give you within a cluster. It's the standard way that education is staggered, with early childhood separate from elementary, middle, high school, and then early college. Elementary schools, we see verbal development is strong and art step back in a prominence as a way of understanding and relating to the world. So there are times when art comes in and comes out. In terms of important in middle school years, arts play a major role in intense social emotional development. And in high school, levels require prior arts knowledge and experience. So additional grades 13 and 14 are outlined. Transitioning the students to professional level education arts demands a switch to more emphasis on self-critique, use of web-based materials, reflection skills, and exploratory improvisation activities. So you can look at these standards, even if you're teaching middle school and an earlier thing, and see where the students are going to be expected to go in case you have a gifted student or someone who's really into it, and you can ramp them up if they're developmentally ready for that. Best practice highlights are performing arts, music, singing, and popular music integration. In theater, emphasis on intellectual curiosity, active engagement, and creative play. And dance emphasizes routines and group coordination as well as gender equity. Visual arts emphasize symbolism, decoding, and representation of singular points in each piece. To summarize, what I found most helpful for purposes of teaching art and providing leadership in arts education is knowing limitations students face during their stage of development. I will use this research in the future when I need references and best practice recommendations for teaching arts at all grade levels. This report was used for national standard settings. And even once it is surpassed by more recent research, it will serve as a good historical reference to this last decade in educational theories and practice recommendations. I hope you are excited to check it out. And again, report is produced in 2012 by the College Board called Child Development and Arts Education, a review of recent research and best practices. Other scholars will be presenting to you pieces that go more in depth into each area of this report. This was a review of the executive summary and overview. Take care.